We back, PGG back, and a bit of a comeback, I would say as well. PGG looking decisive there at the beginning, and Order certainly had their chances. And I feel like there was a moment there in the mid game where I went Order. Yep, they've done this. They've managed to take it back, and then PGG is just coming down with a hammer, punishing mistake spawn, and close out very decisively.
Yeah, bot gapped. PGG's bottom lane, man, just showed up to play today. And we know that Rogue is a big game player. Like, this has been actually just historically through Rogue's life from when he played with Jews all the way through to this year. In big games, he does seem to stand out. I remember his series against Ejim, where he played Thresh like 5 games. And he took Ejim from like an aggressive Thresh Lulu player all the way down to like a win speakers Lulu player across the course of a best of 5. So I think like when you have a look at how this guy plays laning phases, you know he's going to be up in your face. And I just think the bottom lane of PGG were too strong. They went up 4,000 gold, even though Order stabilized the gold. Like the 80 carry position has the carry on it for a reason. You don't say top carry or mid carry. And I think that Praedyth just was way too far ahead from the 2 supports helping him out.
Yeah, and I mean, it's sort of what we expected, right? Praedyth is known as this kind of resource goblin, if you will, where they just kind of, funnel resources into him. Some games it's minion waves, but this one was actually just resources and in terms of people visiting his lane and getting the lead, but not to take away from the actual laning phase that Rogue and Praedyth had. They still had to play their champions, play their matchup out, and they kind
That's
of...
about all they had to do, mate.
Well, I mean, yeah, Ashe Karma is like one of the most kind of lane kingdom matchups you can get, but you still have to punish. Leona Aphelios do have that kill threat, but it was kind of a battle of, decent at mid lane matchup mid. Zoe does have a good time into the Galio, much like the Nidalee has a good time into the Lilia, but they just couldn't stop the bleeding in the bot side of the map.
And I think that sorry, Nick. I think when a game is like that linear, it's a double-edged sword because like you can either just ban it away, but the more preferential thing, and obviously I'm here and I'm not talking to the team, the more preferential thing most of the time is like let them have it again and see if you can beat it with something else, because it's that old saying of like more the devil you know than the devil you don't. And you know that Western Waves just cook something up, right? If you can get that exact draft again, like Order would have played against pretty much that exact draft, maybe minus a Lilia, like millions of times throughout this year. But I think it's more the way that they won that bottom lane. You can accept being poked out. You can accept going down maybe 2 plates. Maybe if you get cheeky gank from a Lilia and you don't understand what she does, you can even accept like a kill or 2 going over, right? But I just don't think there's any world where you should die 4 times in a laning phase. Like, that to me is like nearly unacceptable levels of laning. And I was talking to Juice about it, and Juice is like, yeah, well, at this point it's just over. Like, then swap them out of the lane. Like, send them top. Like, Swiper was ahead, but he wasn't like necessarily destroying Camille at the same rate that the bottom lane was getting destroyed, right? So you have to do something as Order. You either have to get a turret plate drop or something like that. And I just think like the fact that they didn't go for that shows like a lack of creativity when you're behind. And I think so many of these playoff games are actually determined on how well do you play when you're behind. Because you're probably going to get a shot to play from ahead, but when you play from behind, you have to be able to play well, and Order did not do that this game.
We said at the beginning of this game that PGG are a team that don't necessarily have a lot of ego on it. And as part of coming with that is that, potentially you're a little more prone, or a little more immune to being tilted. Order, we've seen throughout the split, throughout his career really, that Dream is someone, Rare is someone who can get in his own head. In a best of 1, then that results in, you can either throw the game or manage to pick yourself back up. In a best of 5, Juves, what do you do in that scenario when you're someone like him, who we know is prone to get really emotional and to sometimes leave that out on the rift?
Look, I think that you can't get to a certain level of play unless you actually have an ego, because the ego helps you take pride in the performances that you put out and therefore like allows you to improve. So, having an ego isn't a bad thing. It's just that whether or not that ego can be tamed. And so the thing that I would be doing as like if I was in the leadership group of that team, if I was someone like Swiper or someone like, Only or whoever does it on the side of Order, I would actually just be saying, hey man, we pencil that down to draft. Let's just pencil that one down to the fact that we had an unplayable bot matchup, because there's nothing in 15 minutes that you're going to fix in that game, right? There's nothing Rare can do or you can do to make Rare a better player in this small window. But what you can do is say, it was just the matchup, right? Let's get a better matchup going into bot lane next game, and let's just reset. Whatever, we lost that one. We're not going to lose the next few. you know? And I think sometimes that's the best thing you can do is almost just shrug it off as a whatever, it just happened, man. Like, it happened. Sometimes, you know, we get these matchups and these things happen because there's no point dwelling on it. And it's not going to do anyone any good.
It always reminds me of, like, The Last Dance when Michael Jordan says, like, a player, like, disrespected him after, like, beating him in a game and, like, said, like, good game, Mike, or something. And he was like, I took offense to that. And, like, I think, like, tricking yourself into, like, turning, like, on as a player, like, getting your arousal levels right. And what I mean by that is, like, you need to be, you know, active enough and excited enough to play the game that you're going to play well, but not overstimulated to the point where you're like a blabbering mess and like shaking and stuff like that, right? And I think that if you're a good player, you use things like what Juves just said. You use the fact that you can blame a draft, or that you can say, like, you know, you have never played against Lilia in a competitive game, and now you know what she's going to do, and she's going to lane game more than River Gank, and blah, 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 blah. There are ways that you can trick yourself into performing better. And I also think that another thing that, like, especially with someone like Rare, that you have to do is you have to point out that, like, he would think he's a better player. And, like, right now, like, you need to go out and prove that.
Yeah.
And, like, I'm always a big fan of that. Like, if my star player, and Rare is one of the stars when auto plays well, it's generally off the back of Rare putting out a lot of DPM. And just in the same way that, like, Juves was a huge initiating facilitator for his team. Like, if you get beaten in team fights, you probably, as a captain of that team, tap on Juves' shoulder as a coach and say, hey, dude, like, you're the reason we win team fights. Like, go out there and win me a team fight or two this game.
Yeah.
And I think, like, that's what you got to be able to do.
Let's not sugarcoat it, Jake. I was the designated inter of that team, and they said every time I died, they said it's still winnable. There was a meme that started when I was dead, we won team fights.
But the thing is, right, is like you're one of those players that you put your body on the line. You absorb a key cooldown or something. So all of a sudden, if you start playing like a little bit of like a scaredy cat in the game, then your team is going to be copping ultimates that they didn't even know existed on some of those refugees because you normally ate them with reckless abandon.
I did.
And that's like that's what I'm just saying about Rare right now. Is like you got to be like, hey, dude, we need you to be able to team fight. Like going down like 4,000 gold, you're never going to be able to team fight at that stage. Like play a little bit more safer. Go down 1,000 gold, make it half an item, but we need you to be able to show up in the mid game and actually have something to do here.
No, I
Juice,
fully agree.
You've got to love the fact that at last break we spoke about the fact that for you just went out retired and then you're like, and now look, I'm back, and you come back and you just instantly get flamed again. So
I
it's
was
like
being nice to him. He
was
himself,
actually he was being nice. Yeah. I'm a firm believer of like you can say what you want to say, but also let's just do it with a bit of humor. I think everything with humor is better. Like if you call me bad with humor, it's funny for everyone, you know. And I like to do that with the analysis segments, right? You analyze something and you can call something bad, but hey, let's laugh at it.
I agree, for sure. Speaking of bad things, it's time to get into absolutely the worst segment of the OPL. It is the LCK.
Who started the segment?
We're trapped.
Whose idea was it?
We made a terrible commitment, and it just has to go on until one champion remains. So you missed out on the first part, but Jules is now well acquainted with this. Swain versus Sion. Let's just do it. Who do we like?
I'd have to say Sion, purely because we literally just said that me as a person won a lot of team fights when dead. So Sion just resonates with me in the fact that I can win team fights because I can still partake in them when I'm dead.
I also think that some of the best like animations ever created have had Sion in them. So I'm a big fan of Sion. When they did his rework and like you saw the oven and like the dude in there, like like I love Sion.
It's it's great theming, and Swain has a bit of the like, he's in all games. So Sion's running away with it.
Did you say Swain's been in all games?
Like his archetype, right?
His archetype is in like a ton of games.
Oh,
but
okay.
Little man in an oven. I don't say that much.
Yeah.
Up next, Kane versus Ari.
Ooh.
Oh, like if you go recency bias, you would probably have to give it to Ari just because the KDA performance was so good, right?
Yeah.
But
like,
then you remember that Kane, when he turns into blue Kane on his skin, gets a wizard hat.
Does he?
And I don't see Ari run it. Yeah, see, that's how little blue Kane that Juice has played. That he like turns like on the skin that red Kane turns green for some weird reason. On that skin, he turns red with a wizard's hat. And that is genuinely the greatest skin in League of Legends history. And chat will know what I'm talking about, chat. Back me up here. But Wizard Hat Blue Kane? Mwah.
Wizard Hat is good, but at the same time, I think Juice brings up a very
chat
interesting
hates me.
That if we get rid of Ari, then we're breaking up a band.
Yeah.
There's other people who are out of work because we fired her. That's not like, that doesn't seem fair to like Akali, and that's not, you know, that's not how we do the rest of them.
Think about Kai'Sa, dude.
I don't care.
There you go.
Neither does Vital.
I think
Vital killed Kai'Sa about 5 times in the last game.
Ari's winning in chat 73%, and I think that we got to keep the band together. Ultimately,
that's too
like,
soon, bro. You can't just go past that, Nick boy. You can't just roll past that. It's too soon.
Do you want to slow down and repeat?
No. Roll past it. Roll past it.
Someone clip it and send it to me. I was paying attention to the chat. Speaking of KDA, last matchup before the next game, Akali versus Jhin.
Akali. I have a tattoo of her on my arm.
Akali, Jake has a tattoo. But then you're breaking up KDA, dude, so your point is irrelevant.
No, he's voting for Akali.
No, but like before, he was voting Kane over Ari.
Oh, right. Yeah,
but I don't have KDA Akali on my arm. I have traditional because
and
I
if
wanted
you did,
a
your tattoo would
of
be
a
better.
Person of no. Look at that dragon, man. That is the...
Hey, all I'm saying is if you had KDA tattooed on your arm, Akali, as opposed to this one, then I have nothing. I was trying to be
Whilst
funny.
Akali is in every game, it's like a flipping ninja, right?
Yep.
She is, by far, when a good Akali player plays Akali, she is by far the most entertaining champion to watch in League of Legends, bar none. Caps at that Worlds final was like, there's just no words.
Yeah, carbon on Akali. It's a wild ride.
It's a wild ride, and the wild ride will continue for a bit longer because Akali is staying in the LCK. So congratulations to Sion, Ari, and Akali. You've all made it through. Who's going to make it through to the next round? It is PGG versus Order. It is Game 2, and it's coming up now with the Macca's Jam Select.
Now, a full 5v5 will take place here. The Dragon is there for the taking. The Soul Point is here for Pensnet to acquire. Stormbringer used to disengage away, but look at that! The one shot on the jungler! The volley there is gone. Hextech is huge. And the shutdown comes across there onto the Aphelios. That's 1,000 gold into the pockets of Babip. A double kill for Tapoon. Can the big man himself live to tell the tale? There's healing cut to take him down this time. It might not be 17 hours. This time it might be 7. But this time at the late game here, Rusty, they've done the damage. He's well on his way to getting that full item build there. Whoa, he's going to be the one that gets caught out. He doesn't have that flash. This could be huge right now. Can he run? Can he live? Can he survive? Everybody turns their attention onto Olaf, but he gets the reset. He's got the movement speed. Forget the flash. I've got a ghost on cooldown. It is working overtime right now as Tien tries to be the hero, the savior of the day, but it just will not be enough. His entire team have crumbled to the ground. 4 members fall on through. The tempered fate, they thought they had it. It had worked all game long. Welcome back to game number 2. If you just joined us, Pensnet currently lead this series after a solid game 1 performance. A performance in which Praetif, well, he was 4-0 coming out of laning phase. He was a terror to deal with as the Ashe. Didn't look to do too much during the mid game, but then one big team fight, one little risky Baron call made by Order, and their game just flipped on a dime.
Yeah, and so we have to look at things that could change coming into this game here. Order choosing to stay on the blue side, Skimmy as well coming into this second game. All 6 of the first bans are identical, and so is the first pick, and most likely the response here from PGG as well. This is probably the rotation where I would expect things change. No harm in going for an Italy. We saw an Aphelios with a Zoe, and if you're going to go down that route, you maybe even want to go for the Ezreal instead. It is definitely something worth considering. Maybe even holding the mid lane pick instead of forcing a Zoe in there. If you've got a flex, like a set, you could consider that, but unfortunately the set's banned. And even a top laner might be a better option here. If you go for the Sion instead of limiting Swiper's champion pool, it may be a decision to go for earlier here.
Well, you were right on the money when it came to the Ezreal. That will be the pick and the play here for Rare. It's his most played this season, one that really fits his narrative of being allowed to play aggressive because he has the CDR, the Astral Shift, the ability to continue to dart across all around this map. And they're going to can't even speak anymore. It's that late into the night. I've lost it all here, Rusty. They're going to complement it with the bar. This is a pick that Ayla really is so well known for. A pick that will no doubt be looking to try and set themselves up for success. Pensnet, the response is to basically continue the formula of what worked for them in game 1, right? They're going to go for the Karma. Once again, still can be flexed in multiple lanes. But you have to think, if it worked that well game 1, potentially just run it back again.
Yeah, the Leona has become a Bard, and the thing is, the consistency between both of those champions is that there's no wave control. There's definitely no wave clear coming out of a Bard compared to a Leona, and that does mean that PGG once again are going to ban top laners away from Swiper, limit his champion pool. Not surprised to see the same thing going towards Biopanther. And PGG may even consider the Galio. That's a potential ban here from Order's side as well, because that made things pretty unbearable for the remainder of PGG's composition. And you want to be active and moving around the Rift now with the 3 things that you've picked up. So maybe some strong mid lane focus here with their draft. Something like an Orianna wouldn't go astray.
Given that the support this time is being locked in that first rotation, no need to go for the Nautilus ban. Nope, they're going to go for the Azir instead. Another pick that Harry is incredibly strong at. But Getback is no stranger to the danger that it possesses as well. It's his most played in Split too. So he's going to remove a sore point that could cause a bit of an upset. Emperor's Divide, we know exactly how strong that can be. What is the next pick here for Order? You already touched on the mid lane priority. What do they want to remove? They removed the way to Shen last time. They are going to still show attention to Biopanther's role and deny his Camille for a second game.
That's actually a hover of a Lux, and it's funny because the Karma could still go mid lane. We don't actually know. You would expect the Galio, but knowing that there's no Camille does change the priority a little bit here for the side of PGG in terms of what they want to play. Top lane options do get a little bit more limited. One of the things that I was thinking through was the potential of like an Akali, but that would require a physical mid lane champion, and Getback's not going to go that route today. We're going to go back to what worked.
Interesting though, what they've decided to do here as Pensnet. It's no big adaptation really from game number 1. Small adjustments made by Order obviously, and it was kind of necessary, you'd have to say, with how rough that laning phase was. But I do like the level of consistency to say that we're just going to keep with what worked for us and continue it until we need to make an adjustment. And in the best of 5, obviously you have a lot of room to work with. Order,
I like
however,
this though.
I'm going to go with the Aurelia. What are our thoughts on that one?
I very recently played a ranked game where I was Galio into Aurelia, and I just wanted to quit the game 3 minutes in. It was an absolute nightmare to deal with. Aurelia makes your life bloody miserable. She's just so mobile, so you never get to taunt her. And then if she wants to fight you on her terms, she just goes ahead and does it. As that is a Lilia top? Or is it a Kayn top?
Is that a Kayn top lane?
Is that a Kayn top?
Is it the Kayn top lane? I have never seen a Kayn played in the top lane, but this is Biopanther, probably the craziest player in the OPL. He plays Janna top lane. He'll play Soraka when it's even out of fashion. He'll play a Mundo. 5 games as Mundo. Nearly undefeated on that champion as well. He's not changing, Rusty. I'm concerned.
I've seen a lot of Kayn top, but I'm really wondering if it's been played in other competitive regions. I might even quickly look this one up. Because it's started to exist a lot more. He's going to be playing Kayn top. We're past 20 seconds, so it's going to be locked in. He's also into a tank champion. So you say you haven't seen it in a competitive game. If we cast our minds way back to when Kayn first came out, Death by a Touch was a rune. And all of the damage that you could deal over time with Corrupting Potion, Death by a Touch, means you would have like a 3-minute 30 transform. It was completely broken. They promptly removed that. But one of the key takeaways is that if you're able to get your transform off at a decent time, the role you're in really doesn't matter because you're just broken then. And so being into a tank top lane, definitely one of the matchups where you'll be able to, go for your Q-Max, continue to evolve into the game early as you like, and then just have a big influence on the game.
I suppose the biggest takeaway is the fact that, much like we've got champions that are resource heavy, the one that springs to mind is like sort of, between Wukong jungle and Wukong top lane. What is it like for a Kayn playing a top lane? How does that influence his ability to hit the evolution a little bit quicker? We'll get to find out here. That'll be the big adaptation here for Pensnet coming into game number 2. They lead the series at the moment. It's a best of 5 for our second quarterfinal in the evening. Order have changed things up to respond, and they'll be looking for a game to bounce back here today.
So just confirming we haven't seen one in the top lane yet in the world, just in my solo queue experiences. So nevertheless, we're going to get onto the Rift here for the first time that we'll be seeing this one in a competitive game from the looks of it. It does seem like all of the solo queue games that we have seen have leaked into competitive. But we did need a physical champion, Skimmy, and that's the one big thing that we were looking at here. If you continue to go for this Lilia as one of your first 2 picks, you need a physical champion somewhere. And so they've said, this is the way that we're going to do this. It provides some crowd control. It provides, in a sense, especially if you go for Red Kayn, some avenues of entry for a Galio ultimate. There is some synergy there within the composition. You know, the main engage is still going to be down in bottom lane, however, Skimmy, as there is no cleanse on the side of Order, and they have that Ashe.
And that's running it pretty risky. It seems to be an almost necessity at this stage. Rare was actually hovering it in the draft, but has obviously changed it since, deciding, you know what, let's just go for a teleport option. We'll have 3 versus their 2. I'm just going to believe in my own mechanics to say that I can dodge that arrow. That's a lot of confidence to put yourself into, but I suppose the trade-off is that if I do die, I can teleport back to lane and need to be careful. Pensnit are going to go for a conventional strategy here and just poke their head in. A little bit of a shove in that tri-brush.
Yeah, they're not going to choose to gank. Eyes now kind of do go to only. I feel like there was a world where he tried to pressure down here at level 1. If Bard was able to hit a stun, something could have happened. PGG didn't place a ward down here, so it's still a possibility, to be honest with you. And he's completely skipped from his red to the enemy blue buff. Hasn't been spotted through vision as they didn't place it near the Drake pit. One common conception here that you have to do when you're against champions like Lee Sin, like Nidalee, like things that can dash over a Drake wall, is that you have to move that ward as Aelin.
They've changed the draft, but the outcome just doesn't seem to have changed at this stage here. Praetor is ready to rumble. He's got his Ashe again. And even before the level 2 mark comes on through, he's just running down Alo.
One other thing of note here as we are looking at bot lane and it's very dangerous is that they have swapped their solo laners here as well. So Swiper's going to be mid lane. And I think that's a clear sign, right? We spoke about it. Kayn could potentially stack up very quickly against the Maokai. Pretty free lane to just sit there in top lane. It's only bottom.
Yep, it was quite in game at number 1, but he wants to be a lot more active this time. He's going to be careful because the spear does not commit. It actually falls to flash away as the teleport comes in, but so will Swipe. He's going to do whatever he can, but a taunt, it's just too much for them to handle. And like Get Back finished the game with a double, he'll start off this game with a double.
There's Pabu down here as well, looking for Swiper. Probably going to force the flash and maybe even a teleport, as you can see from Rare. Massive victory here from PGG once again through that early game skirmishes. 2 kills going the way of Get Back. And mid lane's just become an absolute disaster as top.
Well, they're banking a lot of their hopes now onto Harry. Had a really strong performance there on the Zoe. And can he find the skill matchup as the Aurelia going into this game? Be interesting to note when Kayn evolves and what his impact is like coming from the top lane. Don't see it too commonly, as you say, a bit of a solo queue strat leaking in here. And I suppose once again it's one of those arguments to be made of, you know, if you're not scrimming these teams coming into playoffs, you've got all the time in the world to practice weird and wonderful things.
And it's a shame we're not getting replays, Skibby, for whatever reason, because there was a really confident play coming out of Praetus. Biopanther.
Hey, we've got to be careful. No, he's brought himself into the full attention. He's going to go and dive on through. He's going to fall on down. There's a trade that's going to take place, however. Bio overreached as the both of them commit with their flash. Pablo that picks up the kill, but Harry's going to be incredibly happy in a 2v1. He's able to get a trade back.
And one thing to note is every time an Aurelia and a Kayn are trading blows, Kayn is winning that trade unless Aurelia has kill threat and lane control. That may have been a suicide from Biopanther, but he got more damage on. He gets closer to transform. He'll be feeling decent about that one, right? Summoner spells have been matched, so as long as Lilia's on the top side of the map, things still going well for PGG considering that trade. You've now got a Lilia active on the board here as well, especially the kill going her way is a big deal because the closer you can get to that jungle item, the closer you get to farming incredibly fast. Things just going so fantastically for our red side here in this best of series. Crazy how different they look.
It really is. I mean, it's mesmerizing, to be quite honest. The fact that this is a team that we continue to say, yep, they just want to bring it to the late game. They want to stall that as long as possible. And they've just said, you know what, forget that. We want to be a team that shows our authority from their get-go. And I think really a lot of it can be displayed from what this bot lane itself actually represents. Insane shove potential, insane ability to say that, well, are you going to respond by bringing your jungler down here? Because if you do, we're going to win that fight as well. So questions start to be asked as to where do Order look to find their strength. And as it stands, it's going to be a case of can the veterans in Swiper and the pop-up potential that Harry Zarellia has here, can they be the difference maker?
Just ticking over 6 here as well in the mid lane is Get Back, so definitely about to find himself being more active on the board. Towards bot lane is definitely a place you could consider. Right now, though, he doesn't have a free ult combo like they did in game number 1 with the Galio ultimate into a Camille ultimate. Kane being level 5, pretty far down as well. I feel like 10 CS difference is an acceptable difference for this top lane matchup, especially before you're a transform, before you're evolved. But this is the one thing that Order have done incredibly well here, Skimmy, and that was recognize the lane assignments and their lane states. Is that you don't want the Maokai versus the Kane. That's just a free game. You want the Aurelia up here because that's genuine kill threat. And the thing is, Aurelia does still have kill threat against the Galio. But they've chosen their lane so that Swiper doesn't suffer, and at the very least, they'll both bar.
They most certainly will. And if you speak of the devil, it will be him that gets now jumped upon. As Get Back will find that taunt, buying a little bit of time for Pabu to then jump on through as well. Not going to go any further with that one, no need to. But the situation still looks a little bit grim here in this bottom lane as Rare is almost recognised that, well, my trading potential is not going to be a possibility here. No Sheen, no Pickaxe, no Cole. He's opted for the tip, just wants the quickest evolution he can find and make sure that, much like game 1, when Order do decide to go for that fight, they will have the power a lot earlier to access.
Unsurprisingly, of course, Galio has permanent priority in mid lane, so that's one of the big enabling tools for this as well. It's not just the bottom lane of PGG that's permanently pushing. But no one should ever really be surprised when an Ashe Karma is pushing in an Ezreal Bard. It's just the way this game plays out, and so losing the first strike of the game should be no real surprise here from the side of Order. You're looking at the Herald that spawns in 30 seconds as a potential point of contact as well, especially now those ultimates are coming online for everybody. We'll see if they choose to flip the map though, because the thing is, if I was Pentanet.gg, I don't flip the map too aggressively at all. You could probably be content sitting bot lane with an Ashe Karma saying, well, Ezreal has no cleanse. If they leave him down here, we threaten kills, especially once we tick over to 6.
Well, we have seen Pentanet do that in the past, right? I think the last time that Parade played this Aphelios, he was left to his own device. Whilst the team went topside to deal with the Herald, he was just able to push on through and get as many plates as possible, and that's what we're seeing him do so far. It will be interesting to see if they go for that transfer of bot lane to top lane matchups. He's able to pick up 2 for his troubles. With a healthy 20 CS lead as well, Rusty. I mean, it's starting to build up pretty big again.
Yeah, and it's only just starting to build up, right? Ayla disappears for 1 second. Rare also just using his dash forwards, opening himself up to a constant poke. I mean, there's a world where Praetor just chucks out an Ashe Arrow now. Looks for that kill threat. Looking at summoners, though, I will say that there is pretty much everything available on the side of Order, so they should be able to survive and engage. But every time Rare does that, I clench a little bit.
You and me both. Junglers will be present in the bot lane. Order should be aware of this. There were pings on the minimap. The Temple will connect, however. And Galio is now in the area. He's got the range to use the ultimate. They want to set themselves up for the dive. They are ready to make this happen. They pull the plug. They go for the ultimate. There's the arrow. Not able to really follow things up any further than that. There's a two-shot barrage. Get Back forced to disengage away. Now drop to half. Shows restraint there by not using the ultimate. And Praetor will just say, well, if I'm not going to get a kill, I'll just get more gold.
He wants that turret plate so badly. Wave's going to crack, but they're not going to be able to pick that one up, unfortunately. So at the end of the day, it is just going to be a disengage. I think it's a fantastic hover. I think more than anything else, from only to be in the area does save the life of his bottom lane 2v2. And also the minion wave, very much timely there to make sure that Pabu's bowling ball isn't going to connect. For those wondering as well, Lilia's E will from here on be referred to as a bowling ball, because I just think it's better than calling it a swirl seed.
What was the other one? It was the W, right? It was like, oh no. Like, what kind of caster's going to call that in the middle of a fight, hey?
Yeah, so the W is called Watch Out, Eep. And I don't think anyone in the whole world is ever going to shoutcast their game and be like, watch out for the, watch out, Eep. It's just not good.
I don't know how you really tear that one up for a high play-by-play moment. Well, maybe as a made of a challenge. No doubt Nick Lee's got segment ideas swirling around in his head now as a result of that one. But pertaining to this game, despite the attention shown bot side once again, will be Order looking to level out that difference. It's going to be a similar circumstance with them matching kills for CS. Big leads found in the jungle for Nidalee again. They're going to pick up the Herald as a result. Viper going to utilize the kit to try and navigate through that wall, break space and time with the terrain being broken. And as the ultimate came on through. Maybe trying to utilize his level advantage for potential all-in underneath the turret.
10 minutes into this one, cresting over closer to 11 minutes. You'd expect BioPanthers a little bit closer to evolving now than otherwise. But hasn't just yet. And you can see Hayri still continuing that advantage because of that. We've mentioned this already, but the stakes in this lane are the sooner you evolve, the sooner you'll actually be relevant. The question is what you lose in the meantime. You know, you've lost your top lane Rift Herald. That's something that is costly. Could mean turret plates, could mean major snowballing onto Hayri. Something that only should have no hesitation in considering. And he does summon that top lane, but Pabu's here. So a dive may be a little bit more difficult.
Situation here. Ed has been left to his own. That wave is going to push it in bot side, but they're going to fully invest in Harry's Irelia. Make sure that he becomes as strong as possible. Herald will be summoned. Off screen, Reyes is going to fall on down in the 2v1 situation. That had to be the concern now. Ada has the next thing happen. He flashes forward, he hits the Cosmic Binding. They're going to be put to sleep and then going to fall on down. Get back, didn't even need to use the Protobed. It was on CD anyway. They're going to find safety underneath this turret. Their spear will connect. Oh, I mean, he's just going to flash forward with the empowered leap. He can't find the fadeaway spear. Get back has been a nuisance as a teleport comes on through. He flashes, he dashes, he taunts any Zonias. He survives. He takes another one down to the grave with him. As Rare respawns, he TPs in. He dies a second time. The turret will fall on down, but a whole bunch of chaos just happened in that passage of play.
Rare has just died with maybe 2 seconds of being alive. He's just died bot lane. We'll get to see how. Respawns to top lane and instantly gets one hit by this Galio. I mean, this is a common case of the orders at this stage, right? Every time we have seen Rare go down in like a 1-3 type deficit, he's by himself bot lane just being dope. He's always by himself. And unfortunately for him, it's an Ash Karma who will not hesitate to punish you. They get the kills. Yes, Order will get the turret on the top side. But what an absolute tragedy for Rare. What a tragedy.
That's the scary nature of not running cleanse into an Ash. Get punished big time. And with no support to assist you. A sitting duck for taking. That's exactly what Rogue did. With no hesitation, flashed on forward, hit the exhaust and made sure the Praetor to take him down swiftly. Unfortunate situation for him, not being the series he was hoping for. Order now looking to try and find strength elsewhere with the work they put into top lane. Harry has definitely been a big benefactor of it all.
You got to commend Order for what they did do on the top side of the map, continuing to punish exactly where they needed to. You can see the CS difference, right, Skimmy? We all know that the Aurelia is going to be a big deal. The question is how this translates. You can see the teleport coming in as well. This could be the fight.
Unfortunately, does not land there. Second Dragon in the game. It will be reset as well. There's the empowered shield, make it very easy then just to find that target, force on through. That's going to be already a stun. There's going to be a taunt there onto Swipe, and the Maokai going to be taken out to fight as quickly as possible. There's Kane going for the one shot inside and outside. He takes him down, but look at Hayri. You invest in him, and the investment pays off big time. That's a quadra kill. You're thinking, when do Order show up? Where is their superstar? And that is him right there.
He just goes absolutely berserk. Hayri puts in a monster effort for them, gives them the team fight with a quadra kill, gives them the Drake as well. Ash Arrow starts by stunning him up, but Get Back engages onto just Swiper, and then they stun everybody. The ultimate hits everybody. Look at the resets. The man just can't control the amount of dashes that he's got there. Big play coming out of Hayri, but it's a good punish, making sure that PGG can't just engage onto a Maokai and come out of that with a team fight.
That was Blade Surge Gaming for sure there by Aurelia. And we harp on the fact that he was receiving all these resources with the Herald being summoned top, with the CS leads being found, but now all those kills as well. The Blade of the Rune King used to good effect. This is going to accelerate him so far ahead of his opposition to say, well, there's a Trinity Force now. You know the memes, better nerf Aurelia, and Order are looking to utilize that meme to make the series 1-1.
And this specific champion pick we have not seen very often anywhere. But Hayri consistently produces results when he gets the Aurelia, and he's been given 2 good matchups for it as well. The Kane top lane is definitely something that gets drawn into question. We're constantly observing for if he has evolved, and it seems like he has now. So at the very least, the Kane is online 15 minutes in. as Bard ult in mid.
Bard is indeed there. Stun up the stun, not able to play the game. Pops us on the hill, lives to tell the tale. Here comes Get Back. He's looking to transform some assistance, but now Harry with a massive bounty on his head. There's the evolution, there's the ultimate. Can he survive? He survives for the meantime. Blade of the Rune King putting in a ton of work. There's the flash forward, and there's the shutdown. We put into question what this has came in. He's left the game. He's had enough. He's done and dusted.
He's really died. He's really died. I've never... It's just... He hasn't actually left the game, I'm sure. But my god, Biopanther hits the evolve and just comes in and gets them. I'm sorry, that's just completely broken me. That's like my top laner in solo queue right there.
Filming for the montage. And Order have some of the best montages in the business as we've seen so far from them. He's not going to be too happy about that one. He was so far ahead. So that's 900 gold now being fed to the evolved Kane. To ensure that he has the Black Cleaver, the Last Whisper, and the Executioners to ensure that there is no avenue for this Aurelia to come back into this game. And what was a big lead in favour of Order to close back into this one has now put the game back at square even, 28k.
So now we're at a point, right? The one thing that I was going to say before that fight actually happened in bot lane was that PGG just needed to slow down. You know, the one way that, and this will always sound weird, but we've spoken about this a few times when we do see the Kane, is if you're close to transforming, you don't want to take that 5v fight. You'd be pretty content just conceding that Mountain Drake if you're worried about the Aurelia being stronger, and literally inting onto a side lane if you were Kane, just to get the evolve. Like, that is worth it. But unfortunately, in the process of getting that, they have given over a quadra kill to Hayri. Now, fantastic work by Biopanther to be able to get the shutdown. A ridiculous amount of gold goes back his way and kind of equalizes the difference between these top laners. But in saying that, it could have been better if they were just a little bit more patient, and they've given Order strength. They put us at an even game state, and they've 100% given win conditions over to the side of Order.
They certainly have, and this game is hard to call at the stage. Nothing separates these teams in terms of kills, in terms of structures, in terms of gold. 60 seconds, and the third Dragon of the game will be spawning. So Cloud Soul to play for. An ultimate reduction that I'm sure these teams will be keen to utilize. Ashe, obviously very immobile. More ultimates, more mobility for them to not be an easy target to get jumped upon. It's a Tempered Fate coming on through from mid. Yeah, that's Pabu. Recoiling on a ward. Luckily for him, able to dash away.
Yeah, recoiling on an enemy control ward. Definitely something that deserves a punish. Another ward also here for as well, so he may just cop a spear.
The spear does not connect. Unfortunate there for Only. That would have surely been a one-shot blow-up, and with their Herald as well to utilize, that could have been the avenue of success to make sure that this gold lock would have gone in their favor.
I really think that that spear just swung under the armpit of Pabu on his character model. And that was close, but it's not going to be what they needed. But still more pressure forcing Pabu back. They can see good vision, obviously, on the red side jungle here of PGG placed by Order. But the Drake is up in 5 seconds, so that vision needs to switch sides of the map.
Certainly is, and you can see now that both the teleport players on Order are going to go for one quick recall. There's the Sheen, and there is the Cinderhole picked up here from the Maokai. Nice little evolution of the Muramana to be utilized by the Edgeman. He's going to pick himself up an Execution as well. No real contest here from Pentinip. They're quite content to leave this one up. And so you can have that as a freebie. The Heralds, not much time left on it, as Oni will continue to abuse this jungle matchup. He's found himself a 2-level lead again.
Yeah.
And whilst he didn't die in game number 1, I'd have to say, will he die in this game? He's been definitely hunting for the fights. Hasn't been risk adverse.
I mean, Only's definitely smurfing Skibby. He's been having a pretty good go of it so far.
Yep.
Especially when you compare the difference between these junglers in strengths between both games. You're absolutely right. It's been a big Nidalee. The problem is the exact same consistent issues that Order suffered in game number 1 exist in this one as well, regardless of matchup changes, right? And that is that Rare is now down 40 CS and is 1-3. And while the kills haven't gone directly over to Praedyth, they have still gone into the hands of Getback, who is a big carry for the team. They're able to shore up that current weakness, Order.
They've caught Praetor. He has flash, he has heal. There's a hero entrance to guarantee it's too little too late. No matter how far ahead or how far behind you put Rare, the true shot rush still one-shots him. Ayla trying to smurf, trying to do what he's done before, and that's flash forward into the two-man cosmic, but it doesn't matter. The Nature's Grasp locks them in place and Rogus falls to defensively flash away. That Rift Herald finds a lot of value. It breaks tier 1, and it's going to allow them to take tier 2 as well. A strong sharp in the mid lane just nets them so much.
A remarkable pick there coming out of Order, and that is one of those differences, right? Comfort on champions. Ayla's Bard is nasty. He hits the ultimate, he sets them up. The stun follows through with an Ezreal ultimate and Nidalee Spear. No one survives that. There's no way that you have enough health to get through one of those combos. It's one of those points where you just feel real bad about the fact that you can't even run cleanse. Because the Bard ultimate just turns you gold and you are a sitting duck for the poke that comes out of Order's composition. They make it work, and it nets them a massive advantage in control of this one.
I don't think even Praetor was expecting the absurd amount of damage that was coming out there from the Ezreal. He's still got both his summons available, and unfortunately for Get Back. Dash on in to give him that mitigation. It was too little too late. Nice little performance there by Order. And that's going to finally put the Goldie back in their favour. Up by 2k. They're not going to stop there, however. Ult after ult, they look to try and find their target. Praetor for the time pulls the flash away, but Squad's going to follow him in quick pursuit as well. Harry now trying to 1v5. He gets put there, Steve, and bopped on the head by the staff. He gets taken out of the fight straight away. It's a 1-for-1 so far. Now, can they find more? The magical journey could be decisive, but look at Biopanther targeting the backline, causing all kind of problems here for Rare. He's forced to use that CDR to the best of his effect, and now swarmed by 4 members will fall on down, only rewarded with a kill. And we've seen him do this before in game 1 here, Rusty. At the 22-minute mark, we're taking it straight back to Baron.
Yeah, Biopanther puts in as much work as he possibly can, but it's not going to be enough to win the team fight outright. You've got teleports coming in here as well from Get Back. Ayla does need to be careful. Look at Get Back. We'll see if he can keep them away from this Baron.
Rogue is so low. Oh, he's so close to hitting that spear. Just being taken out of the fight straight away. There's the Hawk shot. There's the information. They've got Get Back actually on the point itself. He's actually swapped with the Unsealed Spellbook to smite. He's looking for the 50-50. He's jumped in just a little bit too early. The Baron's still at 2k. He's going to fall on down. Order turning their attention so fantastically and not falling into the same trap that cursed them only moments before.
And you have to give credit to Order for recognizing that the Galio was a real threat. Not just to the health bars, but towards the objective itself. Fight starts with, once again, Ayla throwing that Bard ultimate. Probably off cooldown, to be honest with you. Hayri managing to take out Kratos with him as he goes down. 4 people standing in front of him. And then you can see Biopanther tries to do his own version of it as well on the other side. Does a lot of damage. Lives for a very long time. But there's no way that he's going to be able to survive the damage of 4 people, especially once Only gets back into the mix. Because he is doing absurd damage.
It certainly is. 4-0-6 now. The second most fed player on his team, you'd have to say at this stage. He is putting in a lot of work right now. Incredibly tanky, incredibly potent at what he can provide his team as well. And the security on the objective as well. That's a 3-level gap between the 2 of them. Both games he's been able to keep Pablo locked down. This time they are able to find a little bit of success. Rare has risen up to the occasion. He's managed to overcome the little bump in the road that made his early game not too fun. A bit of an adaptation here with the draft has allowed him to have a bit of a stronger impact in this game. Swiper, the titan of the tanks, will soak up all the damage. And Order now creating a bit of a squeeze, pushing in both mid and bot lane, and utilizing the Baron buff to the best of their ability.
You know, one thing that we need to briefly mention here as well, Skimmy, is that it's the mortal reminder that has been rushed by Biopanther instead of something like a Death's Dance. And it makes me wonder if that last team fight were to happen again and he'd gone for the Death's Dance build, maybe he lives for a little bit longer and puts out the required damage. He doesn't go for it this time, so we'll see Order win it regardless with that Baron buff. Probably 2 inhibitors to fall here as well. PGG are the type of team who won't hard commit to the fight unless absolutely necessary, and they may just concede what is required.
No summoners available for both their carries. Pensnet are looking to concede, maybe searching for any freebies that are afforded their way. And this is would have been very aggressive. Yes, you could go for a bot lane inhibitor, but they're putting pressure onto their Nexus turrets themselves as well. Locked in that mid lane wave. They find a key target. They've taken Bipep. There's stun. There's Harry. Dropped down to a third of his health bar so far, so he needs to find something to lifesteal off because the Reaper's Wound is causing him some issues. And as the Baron buff is soon to expire, Order has said, well, we're unable to achieve too much with this one, and we're going to have a minion wave before we decide to run it again.
Yeah, they'll say that'll do. I think with the chunks that Hayri just took, no teleport available for the Aurelia. It does make sense to just disengage. As,
oh no. This is Praetor punting for the solo kill. He's going to pop the blade into Rune King. Oh no, the blast cone's been denied away from him. Can he find that 1v1 kill? He's been surrounded. There's a slate, there's a pounce, and there's a shutdown. Only first death of this series. That's a lot of gold going to the way of Ashe. And ensuring that both of these AD carries will be strong. Praetor will be just a little bit stronger.
Good enchanted crystal arrow coming out of Praetor. Maybe the most important part of all of that as well. He did use the heal, and I don't blame him. Only does a lot of damage. So full respect being shown here by Pentanet.gg. They will sacrifice the Drake and the soul point at that with the Cloud Soul. 3 clouds. Pretty nice to be a Bard. Pretty nice to be an Aurelia and a Maokai. Actually, all of them. Order likes Cloud Soul. A lot.
They do. Let's see how you utilize it as this game progresses. As that will be Aurelia able to get back to base. No cheap recall here as Biopanther unable to interfere. Question is, has he bought in to a bit of a bait of his own? He's going to hide in the shrubs for a little bit of time, but where can you turn? 3 members are on the hunt. They want you. They're going to look to try and take you down. There is no teleport assistance that Get Back can utilize. He is so far away to even use that hero's entrance. They're going to say, well, we're going to throw you away because we're going to try and shove through mids. And that kill is going to be handed over to Rare himself. Now, Order want to make this fight. They're going to go for a collapse and say, maybe this is the time we go for a 4v5. Maybe this is the time for us to try and end this game. They're going to go for a collapse, running into the enemy jungle, but instead of composed, they group up as a unit. It won't make it that easy.
They have forced them to go towards the top side of the map and reset, which does mean they'll be able to push in at bot wave and at least set up. But because the wave wasn't really in a pushed position already, it is going to take them an extra wave, and that's enough time, realistically, for the reset to come out of PGG and for the response to be here in bottom lane. And with an Ashe, with a Galio, with a Karma still alive, they should be able to wave clean, no problems at all. A nice little idea, though, from Order. Unfortunately, costing them 2 teleports, however, means it wasn't great.
Great. They found an opportunity, wanted to try and execute upon it. The blade inhibitor shouldn't be too far away now from respawning, but Order want to keep that pressure up. They want to keep Pentanet's space flooded with minions, with conditions to deal with. That Swiper starting off the fight. There's the zone. There's the guarantee that this turret will fall on down. Now, can we get ourselves that second inhibitor? It could be crucial in keeping momentum in our favor. It's going to fall on down. And with the second Baron spawning in under 30 seconds, get out of the base, go for that shot, and run straight to top lane.
Yeah, have your resets. Hayri still having the teleport means they will still be able to situate themselves inside lanes as necessary. Though it's probably unlikely he'll even consider that in this one. Probably just go top lane instead. PGG with really no options. If they commit themselves to the Baron as a defense, that they will probably start to lose a bit of their base here as well. Supers are going to start to build up as we speak. So Biopanther with his teleport available actually does these very quickly, by the way. His Q doing a bit of percentage damage helps a lot. Most of his spells are AoE. So should be able to deal with super minions in short order. And also has that Death Stand skimmy. Might be able to team fight a little bit better.
That's what we're going to be hoping for, because going into this next fight, it could be a big one. We're looking at some of those summoner checks. Both the AD carries will have their flash. But more importantly, the fact that Israel and Aurelia will now have a stopwatch as well. So the ability to get collapsed upon and punished by what is the combination Pentanet have shown in Game 1 and now into 2 won't be as easy for them to work. And we get to see now Order want to try and play things out. They're going to use that Aurelia teleport from the backline. Temper Fate does not connect. That's a backline Aurelia looking to try and find that key target. Parbu separated from the team. Forced to flash away. Flashing into the Aurelia. He pops the stopwatch. They separate away from the hero's entrance. He's exhausted. He flashes away to the safety of his team. Into the wolf pit. As Swiper soaks up the damage. Utilizes that passive once and twice. He soaks it up. But Rare's a madman possessed. This is split one dream potential. He finds he actually takes him down, but that's trying to 1v3. He's doing whatever he can to survive and live. He could win this, but if he gets rooted, if he gets deleted, it is a shutdown that he cannot sustain, and unfortunately for him, he is unable to find the value there. It was a very close team fight, one that could have gone in so many different ways, but Pensnet managed to stall for just a little bit longer, and then now even teleporting into the Baron.
He was pushed to his absolute limit mechanically there, Rare, and unfortunately he's not going to be able to find the kills that he was after. Now PGG, of course, because Biopanther on the other side of the fight, almost in mid lane, was legitimately winning the game by himself while they were taking out Rare. You can see Only's down, Swiper's down as well. Hayri had a blinking health bar, to say the least. We'll keep our eyes on how this starts, as we'll have Baron in the bottom left as well. Rare sitting over the wall. This is the confident play that you want to see coming out of the AD carry of Order, forcing that flash. And then he chooses to flash in and go forward. I think there's an argument to be made to maybe help the rest of your team. But regardless, who expects Biopanther to just casually sit here and do all of this work? Hayri with 0 HP already as well. So easy as you'd like. Mr. Bio secures the Baron.
It certainly does. High risk, high reward plays, but for one, it works far better than the other. That means that the gold lead, while still in favor of Order, isn't as crazy as it was before. They'll be happy to say that whilst we've lost the Baron, we still have taken these inhibitors down. Now got ourselves a 30% reduction on those ultimates and a Cloud Soul to boot as well. So we still have so much pick potential. You're seeing that it is always Ayla, the first one to try and find those fights. He's initially using Tempered Fate.
If you don't know what's going on there with the Angry Bees, I reckon it's because Praetor said, give me this mid wave. Get Back was like, well, you just took the bot wave. Got my item. Get Back's just an Angry Bee walking around, getting 0 farm and soaking up experience to get closer to 16.
It's a Get Back special, isn't it?
Let that anger out, Get Back. I don't blame you.
Yep, the life of a mid laner, right?
Pazu's now saying, give me the Zonias. Get Back, yeah. Still angry. Oh, it just never ends for them.
They're probably taunting him in comms. They're saying, you're relegated to just protecting us. We need to be able to do the damage to back you up when you find those windows of CC. And we'll get to see how they hold off in this base defense. That bot lane inhibitor should be up relatively soon. Order systematically continuing the pressure, despite that fight not going as well as they would have liked. They rotate from lane to lane and ensure that it is a very tutorial-esque sort of style of gameplay where all the inhibitors at any single given moment are always going to be exposed.
Yeah, and jokes aside about the Angry Bee, it does actually give the Zoni's Hourglass to Pub, who does actually give the Mortal Reminder over here to Praetor as well. So they do get 2 complete item spikes as a result of just sitting back for a minute or so. While they have the Baron buff, and you would say, well, you want to get something from this Baron, right? It does give you time. And time may not give you the money to win the game, but if you're sitting here catching 2 super minion stack waves, it actually does. It actually buys you 3 minutes where you're just picking up farm that your opponent team isn't getting. And that's a significant difference. So they're able to get themselves item spikes. Gold difference is really only 2,000 now. Their inhibs are up, and they have the ability to leave their base at this point.
They certainly do. And you're seeing really there from the score sheet that it is Praetor up by 2k, but then the jungler and the top laner of Order up by 2k as well. So a lot of equilibrium really found here as to where that gold lies. And how it is looking to now influence these team fights. It's going to be the GA here for the Aurelia. 4th item spike to look forward to. So get into some very dangerous territory where you can get one shot. The Fawn Mail here from Swiper, knowing that he is the one that's always wanted to try and initiate. Going to make it a little harder for the Kane to dive that backline now. Going to be stripped of the responsibility for Red to continue to search out for those montage plays. We'll get to see 3 minutes and another Elder. 3 minutes ready for any neutral objective, but it's Order continuing to say that not only these lanes belong to us, but your jungle does too.
Absolutely, you just saw a 1260 damage Q coming out of Only as he uses that empowered Nidalee Q. Still looking to push forwards, and the thing is, Order with this lead that they have, it's very difficult to stop them from just harassing them. Once they're able to set up in a lane, you've got Nidalee Spears, Ezreal Qs being just littered your direction, the threat of a Bard ultimate as well to lock you down. Praetor's not having its flash for like another 15 seconds at most, maybe 5 seconds now. They need to respect.
That's Biopemp on the flank right now. He's going to try and catch the key target. There goes the Hero's Entrance. He's going to try and take out Red straight away. He's forced to flash away, trying to burn that as quickly as possible. Tim Spates for 2. That's Parbu and Biopemp is zoning that fight to start off with, but that's Harry jumping straight onto Ash's head. He's popping that Zonius. He's dead and done as the G8 is the response. There's Ayla dying as well. Biopemp trying to put on a clinic again. Dash gets the train, flashing away, but Rim manages to take him out of the fight. Now Harry, he got a quadra kill earlier. He wants to try and have a decisive fight here to end this game. That bot lane inhibitor will die eventually. It'll fall on down for a second time today. The spear connects, but only with 2 turrets focusing on his head. Will not overexert himself. Focus on the game ends. Focus on that turret. That's a second inhibitor falling on down. The top wave is crashing on through as well. There's so many different insurance policies here to play for. The True Shot Barrage is going to be enough to pad these members down for Harry to execute upon with the Blaze Surge. He's had a pop-off performance here in game number 2, fitting for what was the impact. And that'll be a 1-to-1 here. We're all tied up. It's a crazy scenario here, to say the least. That a few adjustments were made, but it was not enough.
And all that's left really from this point, Skimmy, is a best of 3. We've seen what both teams are capable of now with 1 game apiece. And the one thing that remains consistent for me is that Only is having an absolute blinder of a series right now, putting in some serious work to get order across the line. And even with the advantages that PGG are gaining through bottom lane, it hasn't proven to be enough yet to get them full victories if the rest of the map is able to draft a good composition to carry.
We're all locked up, as you said there, Rusty. It's going to be interesting to see how this series progresses. Will we get a full distance? Will we get a full best of 5? Or will we have 2 exhilarating quarterfinals to get off these playoffs to a flying start? We'll have to find out. We're going to jump to a quick break, and when we return, it is game number 3.
Today is the NeoSurf Cup, and we're going to be playing against Misfits, so hopefully we can bring home the win.
NeoSurf is simple, safe and secure. You can go to your local shop and get a voucher code and use it online, preferably to buy League of Legends skins.
He's got this! It's deadly! He's got it!
If you're craving the taste of your favourites, head to Macca's for a fast, safe and contactless drive-through experience. For your Macca's run, contact-free, we'll be here.